What is going on, guys? Stefan here with you, S&E's Garage. Today we are in the shop with our 2006 IS350. This is our daily driver build, and today we're going to be prepping this thing for spring. We're going to be giving it a nice fresh oil change. We're going to be giving it a once-over, and then we're going to be installing our coilovers onto the car. We're going to be setting our ride height, and we're going to make this thing look fresh and get it ready for a new set of wheels that is to come. So we've had this thing for about 8 months or so, and we've put just under 10,000 miles on it. And we've done a bunch to this car. We went ahead, we updated the headlights, we updated the exhaust. Thanks to the guys over at Revel, we are rocking a Revel medallion exhaust on this. I love it. We did our tail lights, and we overall we did an original, like an overall sorting out of the car. We had to do a rear wheel bearing and some other stupid stuff. When we bought it, we had to fix the touchscreen. But other than that, the car has been great. It's given me zero problems. I know that now that I'm saying that, we're going to be having problems. That's just the way it goes, but hopefully not. We're going to get under it. We're going to give it a quick once over. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to treat it to a nice fresh oil change using some Castrol Edge 5W30. And we're also going to be installing our Fumoto drain valve. I have one of them on every single one of my cars. I love them. It makes servicing them super easy. So let's go ahead, let's get it up in the air, and let's take a peek underneath and start draining the oil. Now, one thing I love about these cars is that they come standard with Toyota, Lexus reliability and durability. This car is 19 years old. It has 3,000 miles on it. We have original ball joints. We have original tie rods. We have absolutely no leaks under this thing. The tranny's dry, the bell housing's dry, the oil pan, everything here is, there's no leaks under this car. This thing is in fantastic shape. Even the original control arm bushings are in great shape. We are going to be replacing them as part of freshening this up and getting it ready for spring with some GSF bushings. They're a little bit stiffer, a little bit tighter, and they're going to help reduce inner tire wear that you get on the front end of these things. And from what I can tell, these are original shocks. Let me grab my flashlight and just show you. If we take a peek in there, you will be able to see that the boots up there, the bellows for the shocks are torn, which is to be expected. Again, 160 something thousand miles, but the shocks are not leaking. They are still, in great shape, and so is the rest of the car, really. I mean, the factory mid pipe is in decent shape. It does have a little repair patch there and there, common spot for those to rot out. But other than that, everything back here looks fantastic. The only other thing that I don't like that's going on back here is we have two different brands of struts. We have a KYB on this side and a McPherson on this side. So that, again, is part of the reason that we're going to be freshening up the suspension on this thing. And we want it to sit a little bit better, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. It looks like we're going to be needing tires sooner than later. Like I said, these are my winter set. We're going to get a summer set of, wheels and tires for this. So maybe I got one more winter with these. We'll have to see. But you'll see our Revel medallion exhaust back here with its 304 stainless steel is holding up extremely well. This was the first winter. It did see road salt, but it's stainless. So everything back here looks good. So we're going to go ahead. We'll get the oil pan, oil drain over there under the car. We will crack our 14 millimeter loose here, and we'll start draining the oil. And after it's done draining, I'll show you how to install the Fumoto drain valve, and we'll take it from there. So this oil's got just shy of 5,000 miles on it, but one thing I want to show you here, the oil's still in pretty good shape. It looked pretty clear on the dipstick. It's like a bronze color now, so I probably didn't need to change this yet, but it's that time of year. I like to change them every 6 months, regardless of miles, and we're right there with the 6 months and the mileage, so I'm glad I'm doing it. Just go ahead and let it drain. We're going to have to go ahead and pop our oil filter cover off. This is like a little shield to protect where the oil filter is. We're going to have to change that. These use cartridge filters, but while we're doing that, let's just give it a once over. Let's check our brakes. Our front brakes they literally look brand new. I do have a little vibration at high speed, but I'm really not too worried about it. I'll wear the pads out first, and the rear pads look Beautiful as well. The original owner of this car, I don't know if you guys have been following the channel or not. When we bought this thing, he gave us a stack of maintenance records dating back from when he bought the car with less than 8,000 miles on it. And this is that stack. So this car it's got a pedigree behind it. It is in very, very nice shape. It was when we bought it, and we do plan on keeping it that way. So far, everything under here looks good. I don't see any new leaks. I don't see, anything, standing out at me. And it looks like our wheel bearing that we put in back here is still doing good. Let's go ahead and give the wheel a shake. It's still tight. That's tight. So yeah, I do want to replace these mounts here for the rear subframe, and I'm probably going to fluid film this thing this winter, before the winter, just to, give it the best chance at not rotting out on me in the future, because I do want to keep this thing for a little while. So we went ahead and installed our new cartridge filter here with a nice new O-ring, and it's not dripping anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and install this cartridge, and being that it's a little chilly out this morning, it's like 40 degrees, I'm just going to let this drain until it, slows down a little bit more, and then we'll throw our Fumoto valve in. So these Fumotos come with a drain plug gasket, but I always like to go OEM. So this is an OEM crush washer. Just picked it up at your, you can get one right at your local Lexus dealer. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to take this and we're going to thread it in. It's currently open because we can see that it's still draining. So we're going to let it do that. But now we're just going to go ahead and get a 19mm wrench and snug this up. I want to spin it until this is at the bottom. You're not going to kill it. You're just going to snug it. So let me do that, and I'll show you where we're at. This is the wrench we're going to use. I just got to wipe my hand off. So this is where we ended up here. The valve is open right now. To close it, you'll go ahead and do one of those, and then you just stick this little plastic clip here over the top like so, and that just helps prevent like an accidental opening. But we're done draining under here. The filter's on. We'll just throw the shield back up and fill her up. So off camera, we went ahead and basically we measured from the bottom lip here of the wheel to the top of the fender on all four corners, and it's not uncommon for any car to not sit perfectly even, because you're going to have different weights at different corners of the vehicle depending on where your steering column is. Obviously there's going to be more weight on the driver's side of the car than the passenger side. The battery on this car, I believe, is on the passenger side, but the column obviously driver's side. And then variations in weight, fuel tanks, amplifiers, things like that. So we're pretty close here. On the left front, we're at 23 7/8 of an inch. Right front, 24 1/4. Right rear, 24 inches. Left rear, 23 7/8. So what I'm going to target here, we're just going to do a mild drop. I'm going to lower this thing 1 inch. So we're basically, if you want to look at this, we're basically at 24 inches across the board, minus, between 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch variation. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to install our coilovers. Once we get them in, we're going to drop the car down, see how it sits, roll it back and forth, and then we'll take some measurements, and then we'll raise them or lower them as we need. Now, one thing that will make your life easy when installing these or adjusting these is one of these. It's basically a digital caliper. This is going to help us basically ensure that this threaded portion here is the same side to side, so in the front and the back. And then we're also just going to take some measurements here to make sure this preload is set correctly. Your springs should be the same height in all of these. We're setting these to a 0 preload. I don't want any preload. Adding preload makes the ride bouncy. You just want the springs to sit in there tightly so they're not rattling around when the suspension is in full droop, which is basically the way this is. So if you look here, we can go ahead and turn the spring, but they're not loose in the coilovers. So let's get it up in the air. Let's pop the hood. There's a couple of things under here we have to take out. I'll show you that, and then we'll go ahead and start pulling the suspension apart. So to access the top of the coils here on the rear, you're going to have to pull some liners out here. And then if you just pull these back, you'll see There is the top hat of the strut on this side, and there is the top hat on that side. Now under the hood is going to be very, very similar. Let's go ahead and open her up. Under here, you're going to have to remove this panel, and then you'll see the strut towers up there. But we'll go ahead and do that off camera, just a couple of clips, and we'll get her up in the air. So you'll see here we have our driver's side fender garnish off. There is the top of our strut. We have the passenger side off, also top of our strut. Now we're going to start in the front because I feel the front is going to be easier. I have done coilovers on these Lexus vehicles before, and the front usually just fights you less. So we're going to go ahead, set it up on the lift, take the wheels off, start popping some bolts, and we'll show you where we're at. So we're going to start here on the driver's side. I'm going to try to do this without disconnecting the upper control arm from the knuckle. There's a good chance we're probably going to have to do that, but we're going to start down here at the control arm. So we're going to have to disconnect this nut and through bolt here that goes into the shock. And then we're also going to go ahead and pull the nut here for the sway bar end link. And that will allow us to then drop this control arm low enough to attempt to, like I said, pull that shock out. Now, there is a chance, like I said, we may have to disconnect that upper control arm, but hopefully we don't. Let's go ahead and spray this down, grab some tools. Now, once you get to this end link, it may be possible to grab the back of the end link with a set of vice grips like we did to get the nut off, because there is a good chance it's going to want to spin. But once you get it beyond that point, you can go ahead, release your vice grip, and pull the end link out of the control arm. So we decided to just go ahead and disconnect the upper control arm. You'll see here it's disconnected. Don't do what we did. Make sure you unplug your wheel speed sensor first, because I forgot to do that and I ripped the wires clean out of it. So we have our first casualty here. I got it on the bench taken apart. I think I can temporarily put this back together so I'm not driving around with an ABS light. I'll solder that and heat shrink it back together, but it didn't have to happen. It's foolishness on my part, so don't do that. But now we're going to go ahead and pull these 14s out up here, and we could drop the whole strut. So we got this side all together here. We went ahead and put our upper control arm nut in with a cotter pin. We went ahead and put our bracket here in for the ABS line. We fixed that temporarily. This is just a sub harness, so it plugs in just behind here. I'm going to get one of them on order. There's no sense in trying to, permanently fix this one. It's just a sub harness. So I got that on order. I'll get one. We went ahead and tightened the coilover down at the bottom, and then we went ahead and put in our sway bar end link. So we're going to repeat this process on the other side very quickly. But we are obviously this time going to unplug the wheel speed sensor before we disconnect the upper. All right, so we're all done up front. Here is the driver's side. Everything is nice and tight. Over here, we have the passenger side. Again, everything is nice and tight. Upper ball joints in. We went ahead and tightened our end link and our shock, reconnected our wheel speed sensor. We made sure not to break the one on this side. So now we already showed you in the rear how we're going to access the top of the strut. So we're good there. We're going to go ahead and pull this wheel, and we're going to start taking apart some things here on the lower control arm. There's going to be a few bolts and nuts we have to take off to, prep this thing to come down. So let me go ahead and pull this wheel off, and we'll use this side to teach you, and then we'll blow out the other side. So back here, there's a couple things we're going to have to do. We're going to go ahead and remove the nut and bolt going through the shock. We're going to go ahead and remove this nut here going through the sway bar end link. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this nut and bolt setup here going through the lower control arm. And what that's going to do is allow this lower control arm to swing down so that we can then pull this shield off. You're going to have a 10 millimeter here and a 10 millimeter here. And there's going to be a couple of bolts up behind this that hold this sort of a weird looking bracket in for the shock. So we can go ahead and pull all of that out, get up top, loosen the shock, and it'll drop right out.
So real quickly, we're just going to show you what we got. This lower control arm is disconnected from both the knuckle and the shock. This sway bar end link is disconnected. It is a bolt that goes all the way through, and your level sensor for your headlights is going to connect to that. So make sure you don't forget to put that back in. And then behind these two 10 millimeters, there's a 12 there, and on the opposite side. So now this shock is ready to drop. We're going to lower the car and disconnect it from up top with those three. They look like 14s or 12s, whatever they are, and then we can drop the whole shock down. Okay, and here's where we're at back here. We got everything put back together. This side is all together. What I ended up doing is I just left this sway bar end link disconnected, and then I came over and did this side with that disconnected, and I didn't have to touch this one. So it actually worked out for the best because I didn't have to touch the sway bar on this end, but everything here looks to be good. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to lower the car down, and we're going to use this key right here. This goes in the top of the coilovers. Tein recommends 8 clicks from the stiffest on the IS350 and 350 with these coils. So we're going to set them like that. Then we're going to drop the car down, roll it back and forth, and look at the height and make our adjustments to get it. Like I said, we want to lower it about 1 inch. So we want to be at around 23 inches from the bottom of the lip to the fender. To adjust the ride height, you're not going to touch the preload. You're going to loosen this and then spin the whole coilover. I'll show you that if we need to. I'm sure we're going to have to adjust it some, but let's go ahead, set the damping, lower it down, and see how it looks. This is where we're at here with it on the ground. The back came down a little bit lower than I'd like, and the front can actually come down a little bit. So we're going to raise the rear. So we're going to make the shock in the rear longer, and we're going to lower the shock in the front. We're going to make it shorter. I'll do a 1/2 inch up in the back and a 1/2 inch down in the front. And I think that should be pretty close to where we need to be. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Okay, so to set your ride height, you're going to need a few things. Number one, like I said earlier, you're going to need one of these calipers. This is going to be super important. I'll leave one of these in the video description below because you're going to use this for your baseline. So right now, this is at 4.9 inches, and I want to make this shorter by about a 1/2 inch. So a 1/2 inch from 4.9 would be 4.4. So in order to get to that, we need to shorten this shock body. So to do that, we're going to take our lower lock nut here, and we're going to break it loose. Okay. And we're going to spin it to roughly where our 4.4 measurement is going to be. So right here, we're at 4.65. Let's shorten that up a little bit more. 4.6. 4.5, 4.4. So now that we have that set to where we want it, we're just going to take this whole shock and we're going to twist it. And when we're twisting it, what that's going to do is basically lower the shock. So what you'll see us doing here is just using the spanner wrench here to spin the shock body, which will then lower the shock or shorten it. And here you have the final result. We finally have our ride height dialed in exactly how we want it. This is a vehicle with a staggered wheel fitment, so the back wheels are slightly larger, they're wider, and they have a bigger circumference than the front. And I wanted even wheel gap from front to back. So I did drop the front a little bit more than I dropped the back. We're sitting at about 23 1/8 of an inch from lip of the wheel to the fender in the front. And then we're at about 23 1/2 in the back. So we did drop the back. Let's see, where did we start in the back here? In the back, we started at 24 inches. So we dropped the back about a 1/2 inch and the front about 7/8 of an inch. So it's just, again, mild drop. That's all I wanted. I drive this thing on the highway 80 miles a day up and down the Garden State Parkway. Road's not exactly great, so I want to make sure that we're not going to damage, our undercarriage.
I don't want to slam the car. I never like slamming these things. So this is what we ended up going with. And if you look at it from the side, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So what we ended up having to do is basically we drove it for a day or two, brought it back in here, adjusted it, we fine-tuned it, but we got it exactly where we want it. Now in our next video with this car, we're going to be installing our GSF front lower control arm bushings. That's going to tighten up the front end substantially because the GSF bushings are quite a bit tighter than the IS350 bushings, because the GSF is obviously a heavier car. So I think that's going to suit this thing super well. And then we're going to go ahead on Saturday. Today is Thursday. So tomorrow we're going to do the bushings. Saturday we're going to take it for a wheel alignment, and then we're going to be ready for our new wheel setup. So please, if this video interested you or helped you or you liked it, like, share, and subscribe. We do greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.